Zafar Saab, esteemed guests, and of course champions of DEI. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to be here at the invitation of Zahid Saab, who has done so much in bringing GDEI standards to Pakistan and then working relentlessly with the companies to ensure that these standards are improved and met. I would just like to stay brief in my comments. I think a lot has been said already, and I think in the earlier stages when Dr. Saab very eloquently, as always, described the macroeconomic benefits of equality and inclusion and diversity. And of course, the early presentation by Zahid Saab also lays the groundwork for everybody to recognize and realize the importance of DEI goals. So I don't think that I need to dilate on that any further, because I think we must start from the first premise that everybody agrees that these are important for companies, for communities, and for the country. So there's no debate there. There are benefits that are commercial, there are benefits that are social and economic. I'd just like to perhaps just talk a little bit about how these objectives have been taken on by Bank Al-Falah, and how our approach has been towards the achievement of those goals, and finally the recognition that we've just seen today, for which I thank the committee that's decided in our favor. I think also Musharraf said very clearly that everything starts at the top and then cascades down. And therefore it's extremely important for us to start off with a process that actually is more inclusive than just talking about specific targets that are set for DEI. How many percent are women, how many percent are disabled, all those are statistics, are numbers that end up being the consequence and the result of a wider process that is started. And that wider process, whether you call it institutionalization, like Musharraf did, or you call it the creation of a corporate culture that becomes a live animal within an organization that drives everything in the future. So at Bank Al-Falah, we decided that we must create a very distinct and uniquely Bank Al-Falah culture. And in that culture, there were a number of different aspects that we felt were critical and important. The starting point was that we must have diversity of thought and inclusion of ideas. So that means that we must have an organization where we allow people to think in diverse ways, and we encourage people to come up with ideas that may be very different from what we've been used to. And then those ideas and those thoughts need to be accepted by the organization at the highest level. The acceptance of different ideas is a critical part of the process. And through that acceptance, then the institution moves towards implementation of the ones that are executable. Not all good ideas or all new ideas get executed in a short to medium term, but at least you have a whole list of things to do for the future. And they come from within the organization, from within the people that are encouraged to become bold enough to think out of the box. So that's the first starting point through which you can have diversity. So diversity of thought and and ideas is a fundamental principle of our culture. And through that, then we move towards the next big challenge. How do we make sure that our people, the larger group of people that is going to, one, provide those ideas and then execute those ideas, how do we change them to become far more inclusive and deliver the results? So here, we've gone through a number of exercises over the last few years where we have ensured that we focus on developing the quality of our human capital. And that comes from, of course, constant reaffirmation of our culture, that we are one bank, one team, focused in one direction, are completely engaged. We are focused on customer centricity, and we deliver for the benefit of our customers, our communities, and our country. So that is the focus of our culture. And the human capital and the human qualities that need to make that happen are being constantly worked upon by the different processes that have been instituted through our HR group. But it's not only our HR group, the leadership has to be developed across the board to be able to think that way and to push the envelope in that direction. Therefore, leadership programs are extremely important for us. And I'll give you just an example. We're just next week going to start another leadership development program, which is focused on our next 5-year strategy, which is that we must look to the future. We must reimagine how we do things within the banking sector. How can we use technology and new ideas, innovate, and then fundamentally improve the lives of our customers and our communities. Now, those are nice words, and I think everybody would agree with them. But the question is, do we have the leadership that is able to actually execute against those ambitions? And the answer is no, not today. But we also, therefore, accept this weakness and work on it. And we are starting that process where we are opening the minds of our people, our leaders. And through that, over time, we expect that there will be a cascading effect where, everybody in the organization comes to realize how those challenges are going to be met. So while the leadership is moving in this direction, we also ensure that as people come into the organization, we acquire the right kind of talent. And the one thing that we've decided over the last year or two is that the future is all about having the right attitudes. So we've changed our hiring process to say we will hire for attitude, not for technical qualifications alone. They are good, they're important, but if you don't have the right attitude, then you may not have a job with Bank Al-Falah. So with this, we expect that over a period of time, we are going to continue to inculcate a culture that is driven by a constant need for change, a constant desire to come up with new ideas and new thoughts, and to accept them and implement them. And in terms of the DEI goals, the same applies. We have to see how we can actually get more diversity. But the diversity is not just, as we've been talking about, it's not restricted to either gender or abilities or social strata. It's all across, it's throughout. And we need to put the people who are currently in senior positions and in responsible positions to the test. And so some of our, or as we see in the numbers as well, most of our leaders are still men. That's changing, but they're still men. So I, for instance, have a habit when we talk about diversity within our groups. I'll single out the men in the room and I say, you are the problem, but you are also the solution. So it's the mindsets of men that need to change. I would not like to have gender diversity meetings where it's a room full of women and you tell them how important diversity is. They know. The people who don't know enough or haven't done anything about it is the men. So we focus on really trying to bring about this change through where the change must happen first. It's the mindsets that must open up. Their acceptance of diversity has to open up. So that's just an idea of how we're approaching things in different ways. And through this, we've actually seen, and we have a number of our women officers and executives sitting here as well. But I have seen over this period of time that the number of women in responsible positions have grown and are in a large part responsible for the growth that this organization has seen. When I first joined Bank Al-Falah, there was one branch manager who was a woman and no operations head that was a woman. Today we have almost 100 branch managers who are women and almost 100 operations managers as well. And the benefit for the organization is clear. And again, in our town hall meetings, I tell the men, the performance of the women branch managers is actually better than the men. And that is something that sometimes is difficult to absorb for the men, but it must be told. And it must be said. As a result of that, we have the performance of our entire branch network gradually rising, but led by women, performing much better than the others. So this is, I just described working on the human capital part and the leadership part and the mindset part. All of this must translate then into how we manage our business. What are the portfolios of products and services we create? For whom do we create them? Do we make them easy for the groups that we want to become more diverse in? And also in terms of our lending programs, where do we focus our attention for the benefit of specific groups in societies? So in that respect, we've done a fair amount of work to focus on certain social strata, to focus on women, entrepreneurs, women who want to work from home, women who work in offices. So we've got products that address all these different categories of people that we want to become more inclusive with us. So without going into all the details of what those products are, we have now a very diverse portfolio of products and services. And we have also decided that we are going to become a bank that will be known for ESG, sustainability, essentially becoming a green bank in the future. So we're focusing on those areas as well. But pushing diversity is an important part of our business plan. Within that, we have also therefore been spending a lot of time, attention, and money on developing digital banking products, which we think are key to improving inclusion in our societies. So it is by no accident that we have been declared the best digital bank by PBA last year. So that comes not only because of commercial reasons, but it comes from an embedded philosophy that we must try to ensure that we become an inclusive bank. So once you have a business plan that is diverse and inclusive, the next thing is how do we become responsible corporate citizens and make an impact on our communities. And I think you heard earlier how we stepped forward at a time when the floods happened. And I think when we started out, that was an initiative just at a CSR level to just see what we can do to help people. That grew, and our own thinking evolved. And we said, this is such an important thing that we have to take this as a responsibility, not only for one flood or another crisis. We've got to take it seriously as a fundamental core belief of our organization. So when we start saying that we want to be a caring bank, it is truthfully felt, because we have seen it happen in the last 2 years, the impact that we have been able to have on the lives of destitute people affected by crises. So we started off with providing immediate relief, but we are now in the process of doing reconstruction of housing, revival of livelihoods, creating health facilities, investing in education, schools, etc., for the future of our children. All of those things are happening now. But of course, we can't do it ourselves. We are a bank. So we have reached out. So the diversity has come in here as well, that we have reached out to a diverse group of people who are already embedded in societies and doing great work. And we have just lent our hand by saying, what can we do to help you guys do what you do well? And that has also been done by asking our own staff to get involved. And in the different areas that we already are present, we have had incredible, resounding kind of feedback from our own staff that we want to go out and help our people. And a lot of them are women. And a lot of the people who they're helping are women in those difficult environments and communities. So this concept of diversity, therefore, then goes beyond just the traditional mindset of diversity, is how do you extend yourselves as a responsible corporate citizen by partnering with people that you would perhaps not otherwise do too much business with, but then create those relationships where you're impacting positively the communities that we live in and we depend on. And in that process, hopefully, really make a very positive impact for the country. We also recognize that we are, after all, just one organization. And events like this and initiatives like this bring a lot of us together, and we share what we do well in our own spheres. So what I have said today about what Bank Al-Flah does is by no means the only way to do good or to help. And there are lots of people in this room who have so many ideas and already are executing great ideas. And I think that's what we need to do. We do the best we can in the sphere of our own influence, and then share those successes with others. And if we all do that well, this becomes a cascading wave across Pakistan that we hope will, inshallah, one day really turn around this country and make this country to be proud of. Thank you very much.